Dvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay. So now, any questions? Good to get into.
I have a question.
Yeah.
It's not really a question necessarily. It's related to the last example you were giving about the snake and the rope.
Okay.
That when you mistake a rope for a snake, it's out there. But when you learn that it's not the snake, then the snake is in your head.
Right.
So you equated that to the Jagat. The Jagat is all, the Maya and the Jagat is all manufactured in your own head, right? It's really not real, just like that snake. I mean, I technically am grasping what you're saying, but practically to just absorb that and say this whole Jagat is, what we see is totally mithya, just created by my own imagination in a way, something else. Because it just feels so physical, so real, so tangible, that, how do you overcome that sort of habitual thinking of the world from the time you were born?
Okay, I have 5 more
Concepts to explain.
Five more retreats planned. Please come to all 5.
We should
Every
just stay here.
6 months.
We should just buy a cottage and stay here. No.
Oh, I mean, everybody heard what Rani was saying was this example of the rope and snake, where the understanding after you see the rope is real, the understanding that it is a snake comes back to your head rather than outside, as I was discussing. But in her case of questioning was that this looks so real that I have a hard time understanding why, how that this could just be my own imagination. So, as I had mentioned, Shastra doesn't say anything which is not true. And the Mahatmas that have really understood the whole thing, they are Jivan Muktas, say it's absolutely correct. So the authenticity of it, the logic of it, the end result of it need not be questioned, because then you might as well do something else. But the Shastra also says this is not going to happen overnight. And so this is exactly like in the middle of the same question is about how can I see that the Jagrata Avastha is a mithya? It's the same thing. Yeah, absolutely the same thing. But eventually, so this particular course that we are, and my decision to, this is what I was just talking at dinner time with a couple of people, my decision to select, because it was left up to me as to what I'm going to do. I could easily have taken, a specific text and just gone through that and so on. But something have changed in my own understanding in the last 2 years with the help of Swami Akhandananda. He is the primary person. And it's also a testimony to my own continued study and a certain maturity, and also the efficacy of Vairagya. Because what happens is that your understanding, we talk about, what we did was that that Vairagya gives you Sukham. We talked about that. another thing which is even more important there is that Vairagya improves your understanding. It is not just the sukham of, worldly sukham. That's just a small part of it. But until you have Vairagya, so Swami Kananda says this, that just like, remember we were talking about Viveka and Vairagya first, and Shamadamadi Shakta Sampatti later, not the other way around. Similarly here, until you have Vairagya, the world will not appear as a mithya. This is an important thing. Don't wait for it to say, only when it is appeared as mithya, then I will have Vairagya. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep going. You're fooling yourself if you do that. That's not going to happen. You have to take the first step. And if you are not ready to take even a baby step, then how are you going to conquer the whole world? So, I think, this is all part of growth. This is all, we were going to talk about all of this, amanitvam, adambhitvam, all this. And Sri Krishna explains this so well. We were going to come to that later on, but since you have asked, we'll talk about that. Because Arjuna asks him in the 13th chapter, what is Vidya? And he doesn't explain what Vidya is, but he explains it very nicely. That if you have Vairagya, Amanitvam, Adambhitvam, all these ones are really Vairagya. Once you have Vairagya, Vidya becomes very obvious. So an offshoot of the start of Vairagya is the start of a better understanding. It becomes a push-pull. One thing leads to the other thing helps the first one helps better. I can tell you this is happening to me. I'm not just giving you a sort of a, this is what it says in Taittiriya. Whatever I can give you my own personal experience, I'm just communicating that to you. And what I have seen finally coming together in the last 2-3 years. I mean, my Vairagya has been around from the time I met Swami Dayananji and so on. And if you want to see any evidence of that, all you have to see is what do I do in my life? I don't initiate anything for my own pleasure. I don't. But I've gone to one sea voyage. I go to Hawaii a couple of times, at least once a year. We have, a lot of things and so on. But this is all because if I don't do that, my family will not be happy with me. And I have made a commitment to my wife that after I went through my course with Piercy, I would live a normal life, which I'm trying to do. So my Vairagya is not self-centered. I don't sit there and say, my God, I have to see Africa. I've never been to Africa. Do you know I have not even been to any cities in India? I haven't been to any city in the United States other than my work. That's it. I used to go to here and there for my work. I have no desire. No, it doesn't really have any attraction for me. So I've had Vairagya, but it has accelerated in the last 2-3 years. And as a result of that, my understanding also has become a lot better. I'm able to see what Swami Kanananda is saying that I didn't see before. This thing about the rope and snake example, I did not see this before. I'm sure Swami Dayananda might have mentioned that to me. I don't remember it. But I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying I just wasn't ready. But I'm getting ready. And so, what Shastra says should not be mistrusted. But also we need to be patient. It will happen one day. It will happen. But we have a long ways to go. And it all depends on us. Totally depends on us. So this is what I was saying. We are the puzzle. We are not part of the puzzle. And when I was saying that when I was given this opportunity to teach, nobody told me what to do, what to teach, what subject to do. It was all up to me. I made a decision. I'm going to do a rather advanced introduction to Vedanta. And I'm hoping that some serious students could come, but they were not able to make it. They were so busy with, everybody has family ties, but they don't have enough vairagya to really follow this. So I'm disappointed. But it doesn't matter. You are here, and I'm giving you my best ideas that have applied to me. The only thing you have to really give me credit for, that these are not bookish ideas. These are my own internalized, assimilated ideas. Not all the way. There are some things that I'm still working on, but it's going to happen. So, to answer your question with this long diatribe, is that, yes, of course it looks real. Is it going to disappear poof like that? What are you, Vivekananda? Ramana Maharshi? You are not. So just be patient, it will happen. But eventually this is what is going to happen. We should know where we are going. If we don't know where we are going, we will not follow the right path. So yeah, it looks very real. Of course it looks very real to me. So it will happen eventually. Yeah.
Vijay, to her point, I think I can just put it this way, that it's not that what we feel, it will exist still. It's how we relate to it is the bottom line. Like, I think if you want to live, you can live with, literally you don't need too much in life. It's all, the whole country has become so commercialized that we feel we need this, we need this. But if you think about your daily routine, and all we need is like a cup of tea in the morning with 2 toasts and maybe a salad for lunch or soup, and like just 1 or 2 meals. And we don't need tons of clothes, and we don't need to socialize.
I think everybody realizes that, Ranjit, you don't have to say that. Yeah. I'm happy that you also feel that same way. Yeah. I would prefer that the answers should just come from me at this point, that you don't talk directly to anybody else.
No, I'm just saying my...
No, I understand that. That's good. I think what you said is absolutely true. Yeah. This is true.
It will exist, but you just have to, how you look at it.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, no problem. Did you?
Yes. So when we think of world being unreal,
yeah.
it's all in my mind. I think of this example of fabric that I read in one of the, I think in that one of these books or somewhere. So when we analyze the fabric, it's made of threads, and then when we analyze the head, it has those filaments, and then we even break that apart. So eventually it goes to nothing.
Quite right.
So from that point of view, a fabric has no existence, and it depends on something else, which is Sat. From that point of view, Sat is me, the Atma.
Yeah.
Everything else is Mithya. Yeah. So even though it is tangible, the table is tangible, it is Mithya because its existence is dependent on the Sat.
That's what people are saying.
Does that, am I making?
Yeah, true, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
The question is, what is the role of karma in terms of receiving this wisdom? One should be blessed. Even, I think the morning the question was asked, hey, even though I have intention and there are hindrances there, so my understanding is karma is playing a role here, and the hindrances are showing up. Could you talk
Sure.
about that?
So of course karma plays a role. That's exactly what it is. But it is within the very mental realm of where I am. Because even karma phala, as Ranjit was saying, you can have an attitude towards karma phala which negates it. It's very possible that you may have a physical issue, so you have an accident, let's say, and you break a bone. Well, that's not mental, that's going to happen. But even there, the attitude of karma phala is important, because you can say, it had to happen. There is no such thing as an accident. Something has to happen, and so on. And so having a little bit of faith there also is helpful. Eventually, however, this is all advanced Vedanta. This is what I'm saying, and I think hopefully we'll come to that a little bit more. The whole thing is nothing but a mental projection. Everything. And this mental projection has been sowed for millions of lives. It is not going to take. But on the other hand, you should say, it was very interesting, one good example. All the acharyas say that if this kind of a mental state has taken millions of lives, isn't it going to take millions or not at least a few lives to get rid of it? Because I think Swami Maheshananji had given this beautiful example. He said, supposing there is a cave, and a cave is so deep and somewhat dangerous that no one goes inside of it. So the darkness of the cave has been around for millions of years. Millions of years. Is it going to take 1,000,000 years to light it up? All you need to do is to take a flashlight, and the 1,000,000-year-old darkness will go in 1 second. Swami Akhandananda had a beautiful example of this, a real life example. So he says, there was a village where people used to sit in front of a cave and do puja every day. So he was kind of curious, he was passing by or something, and he said, what are you doing? So they said, inside the cave there is some bhoot, some ghost, and he's got a lot of powerful things with him, with snakes and tigers and so on and so forth. And occasionally he comes out and gives us trouble in our village. We feel unhappy. So just to make sure that we keep him happy, we are keeping him. So Swamiji talked to the sarpanch of the village and said, this is make-believe. There is no bhoot. And if there are snakes that can be tackled, why are you getting your life involved in doing this and so on and so forth? Let's mount a posse of people. And so they said, okay, if you go first, then we will also go. Swamiji said, I'm happy to take this initiative. So he went into the cave, and then I think he only went for a short time, and then after that he didn't have to continue, but he could tell He said, yes, it's a dangerous looking cave because there are cobwebs and there's all, scorpions and snakes. Of course, nobody has been there. But just there's nothing there. And so finally the villagers, I think he didn't give the whole story, but he just gave this. So yeah, even though the karmas look very powerful, but I think what we will do is, again, it is exactly what we have been saying, and I think this needs to be internalized. We don't internalize it yet, it will take a while. What needs to be internalized? In drishya there is dukkha, there is karma phala. In drik there is no karma phala, no karma, no nothing. So start looking at the drik. Why are you so, how have you given up and said, this is my karma and this is so. You're making it more powerful than it really is. If it has certain effects on you, then you have to go through that. It's just like going to a doctor. And if there is some injury, you have to treat that. But beyond that, there's nothing else that you need to do except to explore the beauty in yourself. And that exploration takes, because you're not used to it, there's a very famous verse, my God, so speaks to this point. Paran chikhani vyatranat swayambhu tasmat paran pashyatinam antaratma kaschit dhira atmanam aikshat avrita chakshu. I think it's from Kapoorji, I'm not sure. You can look that up. It says, Paran chikhani vyatranat swayambhu. Swayambhu means Paramatma. It also means the Atma, as we will see. Whatever applies to Ishvara also applies to the Jiva. This we have to see. We will come to that. So the Swayambhu means the Paramatma has made all the sense organs outward looking. So we are just under the control of drishya. And my own estimation of who I am is also drishya. You see, this is the thing. Even the person, even the I thought is also drishya. And I'm just totally involved with drishya. Drishya means one which is cognized. We don't know how to explore the cognizer. For that we have to take the help of, because then it is a never-ending. This life is not going to end. This is exactly what Gita was saying. Ananta. Yeah, you remember that 15th chapter, verse number 3, 15th chapter. No, not Paranchikhani.
That is from Kapoor.
Kathopanishad?
Yeah, 2 more 1.
Kathopanishad.
Vidya Valli Pratham Shloka.
Okay. Paranchikhani Vataran Swayambhu. No, what I was saying was that, yeah. No, I that much I know. But what I was saying was, Gita says the same thing in the 15th chapter. Narupamasya hatato labhyate nanto nachadir nacha sampratishta ashwathamevan suviruda moolam asanga shastrena dridena chitta. Hey, it is saying what we are discussing. See that? It says, there is a tree called Ashwatha. The whole life is likened to the Ashwatha tree. what is the peculiarity of the Ashwatha tree is that it creates new roots. So it drops a kind of a branch all the way to the ground. You must have seen this, and the one in Hawaii is a very famous one, the one that almost got burnt.
Banyan trees.
So in Calcutta they have the big banyan.
That's the banyan. Ashwatha is the banyan tree.
But Ashwatha is actually people. People. You know,
But
in
it
North
has
India
those
we have the
branches.
people kapet.
So it is more people.
Yeah, but
It has
it
those branches.
also drops
It's
shoots which aerial.
Yeah.
Aerial roots, it drops aerial roots. Just like the
So
buttercup
it
aerial
just
banyan.
it continues on with more roots. This is what life is. Okay? And it's very solid. You cannot cut it. You cannot cut this tree easily. It goes on and on and on and on. Na rupamasyeha tatopalabhyate. Just look at this. He says you cannot, even though it's a very peculiar tree. You can't even, if you could cognize it, this is the tree, I'm going to cut you. You can't do that. Because when did this whole thing start? When was I born? When is it going to end? Same thing all over again. Na rupamasyeha iti tatopalabhyate na antaha na chadihi ta sampratishta. It looks so real. Ashwatthaменam suviruda moolam means it is so solid, it has its own creation. So is it all lost? Asanga shastrena dridena chitta. He says the moment you close your eyes and you look at yourself, it's gone. It is gone. May take a little bit, but you cannot cut it by engaging on it. There's no physical axe. The real axe is just let it go. Don't be bothered about it. And so this karma and karma phala and so on and so forth, there's no end to it. It's how can you really tackle it? Let it go and deal with it to a point where you have to deal with it. And this is exactly what I'm doing. For example, if I was any wiser than I am, I would have become a sannyasi. But I didn't. And this is my karma phala because it is right. So I got married and I got involved with family and so on and so forth until I realized, my God, where is it leading? I was reasonably happy but not really happy. And that led me to a understanding of what it is. But then I have to go along with the family. My karma phalas are like that. So I'm dealing with it as best as I can. Whereas if there is a sannyasi that really got awakened very early and became a brahmachari, and then not all brahmacharis become swami, and not all swamis understand, but at least they are on the way to do so. So this is all karma phala, but essentially everything has to be where you go back to yourself, and it is a very pleasant journey. That's the only way to avoid karma phala. So those are some of my thoughts. Yeah.
Just to expand on the concept of dispassion, vairagya, and I remember Pujya Swamiji used to say that you don't have to give it up, it just falls off.
Yes, very much so. Very much.
It's not so much, is that right?
I'm
Like it's
telling
not
you,
an active
Sanjeev, what you say is so true. I am telling you, I'm not getting upset about things that I used to constantly get upset about. And I'm really inwards, I'm just amazed. How could it happen? Because I was prepared to slowly improve and by force not to get involved and not to get angry and so on. It's falling off. This is just an amazing thing.
So, I mean, in that sense, is it not that almost, Viveka has to precede Vairagya?
Yes, of course it does. Yeah, that's the sequence. Yeah. So Viveka first. Viveka,
Is it iterative somewhat? Viveka, Vairagya, to a certain extent?
To a certain extent, iterative, of course. Of course it is iterative. But I think the key thing in my mind is to get the initial upadesha. That's what, I'm just telling you about my life. Okay? So up to 1973, I was working at HP, had family, kids, job, and so on. But there was something missing. I was not totally happy with myself. And the traditional ways of how people led parties, drinking, and going to movies and so on, somehow didn't appeal to me. I went along to a certain extent because we had obviously friends and so on and so forth, but in all that through, but I didn't know what else to do. It was a very frustrating experience, I think, for me, because I had certain desires to be satisfied and be happy, but I didn't know how to do that. So it's like you're in between the rock and hard space. My God, Ishvara sent Swami Chinmanand in my way. And I'm telling you, this is the thing. There was a 1-week series of lectures by Swamiji in June of 1973 in the Lone Mountain College in San Francisco. 7th chapter. And Swamiji was, of course, this is where the teacher also has to play a role. And this is where Swamis have to play a role. Because Indians, and all of them, but especially Indians, have a very special way of looking at Swamis. Or how they are dressed and how they do it. Because there is something about that impresses you. And Swami Chinmanand, of course, was over the top. He had hair and
White hair.
So on and so forth, and his laughter, and the most important thing was his personality. He would look around and make sure that everybody's seated, and his voice was booming. So this is something was interesting. I was sitting there like watching him, but I didn't know what, and so on. Then he started teaching. And I think it was on the second day, it was second or third day, where he said, "Do you know who you are? You are the Atma which is supporting all of your thoughts. You are the basis of it. This is what is needed to be done. This is what the Shastra has been saying. That's you." My God. I tell you, it was like a thunderbolt. Thunderbolt. All of a sudden, really, the whole thing could get into perspective. It's not what I need to do outside, but I just have to understand, my goodness. Just completely changed my life. Just one lecture. So the Nitya, and what was impressive to me was that he proved to me, you are Nitya. You are asangaha. Nothing can bother you. Through the explanation of the 7th chapter. And that in its simplicity just got to me. That I am Nitya. And then my whole life changed. My attitude changed and so on. And I was telling everybody that I decided I'm just going to study this full time. And made it happen. Quit my job, took my family and so on. And I've never looked back. So what I'm saying is that a lot of the Vairagya, etc., will come if you have a glimpse of your own Nityatva. If you are not convinced about it, nothing is going to happen. Viveka will not happen, therefore Vairagya will not happen. Shamadamadi Sapsut, Moksha, forget about Mokshutvam, nothing is going to happen. But the initial, someone has to convince you, however it happens, whichever Swami you want to go. But somebody will say, my God, you know what you're missing? So that is I think a kind of like a sequence. And then after that, then it doesn't matter, you have doubts, why am I not getting any better? And then of course there became a period where I think I didn't quite understand this whole thing about this is the nose versus this is the nose. I think Swami Akhandananda really turned that around. Even Swami Dayanand, because with Swami Dayanand, he was all about academics. It's not as though he tried to tell me all that, but I wasn't ready. So I look at it as, okay, I have to study more, I have to study this one, I have to study that. And yes, you do to a certain point, but there has to be something which puts it all together. And that can only happen with a live teacher. And I'm very lucky that I never met Swami Akhandananda ji. But I must say that I have worked on myself to such an extent that his words, even on paper, are very real to me. This doesn't look like just his books and so on. I have such respect for it. Unbelievable. So, all of that happens, but you have to have certain viveka in the beginning as to what. Anyway, this all turned out about me. It should be your questions. But anyway, to answer the karma phala. And so this is, please see where you have to go. In fact, just to see the understanding of it's all you're in your mind. You are the whole thing. There is nothing apart from you. You always have been. And the only thing that will happen is you will stop fooling yourself that I'm just a small person. And this world is very, very big. It's very big. I'm just a part of it. As I was saying, you are not a part of the puzzle. You are the whole puzzle. And the biggest problem with that is we don't believe in it. We spoke, that. Who does he know? What does he know? He's just saying it. And no, life cannot be that simple. There must be some mystery to this. There must be something more that I have to do. And part of that is, after Jnanam, I have to do some bhakti. these are ideas that have to be given out. The moment you understand, you don't need anything. Anyway, we'll go into this, so much material yet to cover, so we will cover all of that.
So you were talking about Vivek and Vairagya, that Vairagya would come naturally, and at some stage it would. But in the beginning, like, do we use our Nishchayatmika Buddhi to sort of force that Vairagya? Not force, but to remind us?
Yeah, I think so. There's nothing wrong with that. To a little bit of, some the energy also say that, fake it before you
Fake
make
it till you
it.
make it, yeah.
Yeah. So it should be understood like this. Fake it doesn't mean that you just pretend you're okay.
Yeah.
You know what? But what is it then? What is it you mean by fake it versus? I think the best analogy would be learning to ride a two-wheel bicycle. You cannot learn to ride a two-wheel bicycle unassisted until you force yourself. You pretend you know how to do it. And you may need some assistance. You may need some fortitude as a child. I'm talking about a 6-year-old or something. And this is how it is to be done. Because the child says, no, I can't do it. No, you have to keep holding it to me and so on. So the parents have to say, yes, you can. And in fact, I'm going to hold you, and then they withhold and not realize that all this has to go on. Exactly the same situation. So the Viveka has, what happens is that yes, it's going to happen, Vairagya is going to happen naturally when you learn to ride the bike. But for a while, yeah, you have to fake it. Yeah, the thing is that I think Swami Kananda says it so well, that you have to take the first step. Nothing is going to happen. You cannot say, okay, I'm going to waiting for the right guru to come and then this guy. You take the first step. Ishvara answers right away. Initiatives in the right direction are rewarded beyond your belief. So, yeah.
Can I ask another question?
Yeah, please.
So you said that earlier on, you said that we have gone through millions of lives, you've been up there for forever, but the jnanam and that realization can come in a moment, right? It doesn't mean that because we've already had millions of lives, we will need so many more lives, right?
Yeah.
So what happens? See, jnanam comes and you realize, okay, you get that point. What happens to your prarabdha karma and sanchit karma and the karma phala? I mean, they go away? Bhasma. You don't have to exhaust them out then.
So this is what happens, that as long as you are a jiva, not a manushya, but as a jiva, in whatever form that you are, you have a bank account. In Ishvara's, Vishwakarma's bank account. And that bank account, the debits and credits in the bank account are never forgotten. Never forgotten. And there are millions of debits and millions of credits. And what transpires in a life depends very much on not far away credits and debits, but near away. Even though the far away ones are not discarded, but they're around there somewhere. But the near ones will provide you with the exact one. But your bank account stays. So this bank account has what is called the prarabdha karma and all those karmas and etc. are all stored there. When you understand, Ishvara instructs Vishwakarma, delete the bank account. You become actually the owner of the bank. You don't have an account in the bank, you own the whole thing. There is no bank, no nothing already. So, the only thing that happens then is that it's very possible that a Jivan Mukta, and it's what happened in the case of Ramana Maharshi, and happens so very interesting. They all have serious physical problems even after they understand. So they have to go through that. And those, because they are prarabdha, they don't really, you cannot take them away now. They were already started. It's like you switched on the engine of a train, but the train cannot immediately stop. It's going to take a little while to stop. But while it is stopping, it doesn't bother you. Do you have some physical dukkha? I won't say that it is no physical. But there is no, the problem is this. Any dukkha that we have has two components. One is the physical dukkha. The other one is the ownership of the physical dukkha. This is me. And so the jnanam is kind of like a chloroform. It's just, you don't feel it that much. It's from what I hear. I mean, I'm not a jnani yet, but from what I hear is that the pain is there, but you don't have a sense of ownership. And it's a little bit like if you are identifying with a character and you realize this is just that, you enjoy it while eating popcorn. Even though you're crying, but it's an entertainment for you. So it just, what Jivan Mukta says, that Sukha Dukkha comes in, but it doesn't bite you. It just stays on. And then when the body falls, then it's gone. Then you have Videha Mukti. First you have Jivan Mukti, and the Jivan Mukti, when the body falls, turns into Videha Mukti. But it's the same Mukti, it's not a different Mukti. So, Broto, you have not asked a single question.
So he was asking a question, you got the answer? You were asking, right?
Yeah, I'll postpone it to the end of the lecture, so maybe something more will come in.
Good.
Since everybody's asking,
Sure.
maybe you could talk to us about puja and the rituals that we do, slokas, the importance of it, and Ishvara is inside us, then we are offering puja, so if you could clarify that.
Yeah, good question. Did you all hear that? Why are we doing a puja? What is the importance of the rituals that we do, and how does that relate to, if the Ishvara is already inside you, then so on. So, so what happens is that in some ways you can look at it in three stages. Relating to Ishvara. This is all about Ishvara. One stage is where either you don't know anything about it, Or even if you become an adult, it's not that important in your daily life. You don't have any sense of who Ishvara is. And this is the 95% of the people of the whole creation. Then certain percent of the people, however it happens, either through samskaras or something, begin to feel that there is some outside power. It's very interesting. Swami Dayananda used to say this. He says, a wise person who also doesn't know whether they're Ishvara or not actually prays to Ishvara in case he's there. Why take a chance? Supposing he's not there, nothing happened, it's okay. But if he's there and you have not prayed to him, he'll say, I'm going to make a note of this point. So he says, why take a chance? Just do it. So there is the second stage is where you feel there is some power. And there must be. The one that, we talked to, especially to the doctors. I was talking to Sanjay at lunch the other day, and I talked to all the doctors and so on. My God, the makeup of the body is incredible. No human beings can make it. Nature by itself coming together doesn't make any sense. There has to be some power. It's very obvious. So there comes a second stage, where you look upon Ishvara as some entity, we don't know where he is, that is controlling my life. Not controlling, but is in charge of the whole thing. But in this stage, Ishvara is away from you. You are one individual and so on. In the third stage, you realize that Ishvara is your own antaryami. He is not outside of you. He is outside of you also and inside of you also. But basically it is you. So this aikyam, so this is what we are studying. We are at that point. We are going from stage 2 to stage 3. But in the meantime, you still pray to Ishvara to not disturb my attempt to get to this. Because, and this is exactly what happens to some people. It happened to a couple of my students. They fell ill. So, they could not make it. But, they will continue and so on. But in any case, there is a prayer to Ishvara, even for reaching the third stage, to please do not let disturb things for me. So for there we continue our prayers, our rituals. So this is one important segment of that. This is one thing. The second one is what Swami Akhandananda pointed out, which is not different from it, but it has a new way of looking at it. So there is a section that he teaches in the Brahma Sutra Bhashya, somewhere, where he goes on the word alambanam. Alambanam. Alambanam is a word in Sanskrit which translates into fulcrum. Something that you rest on to accomplish what you want to do. The basics. Okay? So, and I think I briefly talked about it in the last few days, you may recall, but I was giving you the example that, anyway, I'll give it now. that what you do purposely, consciously, leaves an effect in your mind. So because if you just examine yourself, your ideas, what does it consist of? It consists of your experiences with the world and their memories, their consequences. This is what it consists of. People are not there, but you're thinking about it. You're thinking about your daughter, you're thinking about relationships, you think about what happens next, where am I going? All of this is respect to the recent happenings. The more recent, the better. The more persistent, the better. So, Swami Kandananda argues, this is called alambanam. And he says people do not understand the value of puja and rituals. Because your life consists of what you are experiencing. Your thoughts consist of what you are experiencing. If you are not experiencing Ishvara-related things, you are not going to think about it. So it is not as much the puja itself, but the thoughts that emanate from it that shape your thinking towards the understanding of yourself, which is even more important. So that's why we don't believe in saying that in Vedanta. I'm so happy to see that Swami Dayananji's thinking, his clarity, his viveka dovetails exactly with Swami Kandananda. No difference at all. Both of them are not false Vedantins. False Vedantins are saying once you become a Vedantin, you don't do the puja, stop the puja. You don't have to go to temples, you don't have to pray or anything. False. This is all revisionist thinking. This is not keeping with the tradition. We have to follow the tradition because it has a certain true value. And what the tradition says is, don't give it up. Only when you become a Jivan Mukta, then you can give up. But very few people are. Until then, keep going. You need all the help from everybody. Help the doctors, help from Ishvara, help from your family, everything, keep going. But in the meantime, continue your own inquiry. So his thinking is, it is not the karma phala of submitting to Ishvara, but the fact is that when you go and, people that excuse me, people that learn chanting, those chants stay in your mind. I know with me. So that's very pure, very beautiful. So it's the effect of it later which Swami Akhandananda argues. Same thing with satsang. The more people, the right kind of people that you associated with, that's what you're going to do. If you go to parties where everybody is, I've been to a couple of parties where people will not only drink, but they make fun of their wives. And, have fun doing it. He said, my God, these are the friends that I have. It's just incredible. And you have to be very careful. Next time somebody invites you, you have to make the, oh my God, I'm so busy, I'd love to come to you. But no. Satsang is, but you cannot find the right people, this is the problem. Where are you going to find? This is why when Ranjit and Sanjeev were talking about having a get together for 15 years with the friends that they saw, this is something very special. Studying the Gita for twice in 15 years, just amazing. Satsang. We have to find out what's happening in the war, guys.
War or warriors?
Okay, so wait.
Both are on.
What time is that?
9:30.
It's called
They
Operation
start at 9:30? Oh, they start at 9:30.
Today's the one is here.
Yes.
I'm going to sleep.
Swamiji, I just have to say, clarify something.
Hold on just a second. Let me finish this and then we'll talk. Om Asato Masakamaya Damaso Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Namaha Hari. Okay.